welcome back to the Knitter's Closet. This is episode 8. Thank you for joining us if you are new, and thank you for coming back if you are an old viewer. We appreciate you both ways. My name is Melissa. I am Darwin Kitty on Ravelry and Melissa K Plans on Instagram. And this is a podcast about knitting, a little bit of crochet, but not recently, and other fibery arts involving knitting, sewing, crocheting, and a little surprise that fell into my lap, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. So let's get on some actual knitting content. First, I have one and only FO. I have a pair of socks. See, there are two of them. Pair of socks. These are knit in Barnyard Knits in the Sweet Juliet colorway. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll note that I cast these on the day my husband and I left for our 10-year anniversary trip. So Wednesday the 12th, and I think I cast them off just a couple of days ago. I squeaked them in, I think, on the 30th of December. So I didn't knit on them religiously, but 2 weeks for a pair of socks and a fairly tight gauge. I knit these on a 2.27 or 2.25 signature needle. See the color in there. And I knit a 66 inch. I know it's not usually what people knit, but that's our 66 stitch. Stitches around. So I love the way they worked out. They're super soft and I cannot wait. I've got a couple other skeins of the Barnyard knits that I'm going to knit up in these. I have not woven in my ends yet. I'll be doing that today. So that's my one and only FO. I didn't get a lot done on my trip. I had a lot less knitting time than I actually thought I did, although my husband did take me to 2 yarn stores. I'll talk about those a little bit in my stash acquisitions. Apologies if I get a little froggy. I am recovering from a lovely cold, so I do have some tea that I'm drinking that is still very hot. It's just some Twinings chamomile, honey and lemon, I think is what I got. I don't know. So anniversary trip went really, really well. The husband took me to the Knot House in Frederick. Hey, I got that name right. And the Creative View Yarn Shop in Pennsylvania, just outside of, I can't remember the exact name of the town. I know we were like 10-15 minutes from East Berlin, but it wasn't in East Berlin. But if I remember the name, or if I'll look it up. I'll put it along the scrolling bottom down here. So for FO or for whips, not much has changed. Although I had gone a little crazy and cast on a large number of socks. I mean, large is relative, but for me, I think I've said before that I don't own any hand knit socks for myself. I do, but I don't. So I made myself, in my beginning stages of knitting socks, 2 pairs of socks. And I think it was 3 altogether, but I tossed 1 pair because I frogged 1 pair because the color was just horrendous. But I had 2 pairs. I had a pair in a green Shibui Knits, and then I had a pair in coordinating orange and like neon orange and neon green stripes. One striped one way and the other striped another way. And that was in a Cherry Tree Hill sock. Well, back then I didn't know about stretchy bind-offs on my cuffs. And so the socks barely fit me. And then of course that's been 15 years since I've learned to knit socks almost, or 10 years since I've learned to knit socks. And so since then I've been pregnant, I've gained weight, I've lost weight, so they don't fit anymore, basically. They fit my 4-year-old fine, or 5-year-old fine, so she's gonna get them eventually, because they're in perfect condition since I never got to wear them much. But I cast on that pair of finished socks that I have, and decided, you know what, I really want socks. I really want some hand-knit socks for myself. And with that, I ended up casting on 3 other pairs of socks for myself. So I have 3 whips, 3 socks in progress. Yeah. So, and these are all being kept in my, I think it's Lila Styles bag. And this fabric is from MK Designs on Facebook. And this is one of her original was like Monster Treats or I Scream, You Scream. So this is her Christmas version of this. And they're just little Christmas monsters. Christmas candies that have been turned into monsters. You see little candy cane and gingerbread man. My daughter thinks this bag is really weird. I think it's really cool. And it's a really well-made bag. The inside is a little Christmas trees. So it's nice. It's been backed, so it's a nice sturdy fabric. And as you can see, it holds a lot because there are also 2 more balls of yarn in this for needle adjacent projects. So the socks I cast on for my whips, one I worked on, and they're all in various stages of finishes, or not finishness, various stages of knitting. So this one I have the heels turned. You know, so yes, I do my socks 2 at a time, toe up, and I almost always do them on a 2.5 or 2.25 millimeter needle. I like a nice tight gauge, and I have the tiniest feet. I only have like a size 6 in women's, so my socks are pretty tiny. So this is the Earth Yarns in their Christmas tree colorway. And I don't have the box. I'll have to look at I think they number their yarns, but it comes in two cakes. And it comes caked up like this so that you can match them identically. Like, I didn't have to do any work. I just started pulling, and they are almost exactly stitch for stitch matching, which is very nice. The yarn can be a little splitty. To me, that's not an issue because I work on a pretty sharp needle, which you can see. Let's see if it'll focus on the yarn. Come on, focus. Yes, I'm gonna focus. Okay. But the yarn's not super plied. But I haven't had a problem with it. It's been pretty easy for me. Let's see if it'll focus that way. Come on. You can do it, camera. Doesn't want to cooperate. That's right. So, I'm loving this knit. Socks to me, you'll see, stripes to me are like potato chip knitting. I love knitting striped socks. And the reason I like knitting with striped socks is because even though I do a heel flap at an increase, because of the size of my foot and because of the size of my gauge, my stripes usually don't get interrupted too much. So you can see on this one, it's just very nice continuous stripe. And then it'll go right back to striping normally, which I enjoy on my socks. I know a lot of people have problems with the stripe pattern getting messed up. I don't. So I like the sock knitting. I will say that with my tighter gauge, that I usually end up flashing a lot of these yarns that aren't striping. So that's why I usually tend to stick to self-striping socks for me. So, yeah, this is another pair of socks. You'll see I got my balls in my socks to keep them from getting mixed up in my bag. This is the Potion Yarns Nevermore that I had talked about in the podcast with Beth. And it's in these gorgeous purpley colors. And again, these are on 2.25 millimeter needles. And this is just vanilla sock pattern. I don't do any patterning. These are just vanilla socks. And this is, even though it's the same needle, this is a slightly larger gauge, so these are only 27 stitches across, or 29 stitches across, so 58 stitches altogether. So, and then, last but not least, this is my hashtag Blame Dunder Knit cast on that I decided to do. You know, because I didn't have enough pairs of socks in the works, and, sorry, my needles are clicking all over my table there, and because I didn't have enough projects. I've owned this skein of yarn for a couple years now. It is Trailing Clouds, and it is in the colorway Mind the Gap, and I'm a bit of an Anglophile. Most of the podcasts I watch are British, or based in the UK, and, I mean, Dunder Knit is, Scottish, so I can't really say anything about that one, but, so, I, have been following along on her hashtag, Blame Dunder Knit Along, and I just said, you know what, screw it, and I cast all my projects to the side, literally, and grabbed this ball of yarn that I have been coveting and holding on to, and deciding what I was going to do with for many years. Like I said, I've had this skein for 2 or 3 years now. It's called Mind the Gap, and it is a UK-based yarn, and the striping is based off of the London Underground map system. And as you can see, I did not care about where the stripes matched up when I cast on. However, oddly enough, they both got to the gray stripe at the same time, and then you'll see that the gray, you know, this is going this way from the gray to the teal to the blue to the pink to the brown, the green, and then this is going gray, teal, blue, pink, and then this one's going orange, purple, black, or blue, black, the way this one went. So they actually meet here and then go opposite directions, which I found fascinating. I'm like, oh my god, I love that so much. So I cast these on. These are 29 stitches on each needle, so 58 stitches all around, and they are being knit up pretty quickly. I did put them down because I'm getting close to the increases for the heel, so I didn't work on these at New Year's Eve because I'd already gotten to the heel flap on the Earth yarns. And sorry, I dropped my ball here. Oh, bending down, not good. And so I worked on those on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve when I had a ton of guests and people in my house and didn't want to pay attention to trying to increase for the heel flap, which I know people are like, well, you were doing the heel flap, but with people around, but keeping track of increases was too much for you. And to that I say yes, because I know my heel flap pattern like the back of my hand, but I can't always remember where I am on my stitch count for increasing for the heel flap. And yeah, I know that's ridiculous. I could just look down and count, but you know, yeah. So I know I'm nuts. I am. I do. So if you don't follow Dunder Knit, she's Dunder Knit on Instagram, and she's the Dunder Knit. She's Dunder Knit on YouTube, and her podcast is Knitting Vicariously. And if you're not offended by swear words, I highly recommend you watch her. She is incredibly funny. She's only about 10, 11 episodes in. I may be wrong on it. She's very, very early into podcasting. And she's fantastic. She's hysterical. She's got a great personality that really comes through in her podcast. Her yarn collection that sits behind her is awe-inspiring. Just her sweater quantities alone, I definitely knit vicariously through her. So definitely recommend her. If you didn't catch a lot of Vlogmases this Christmas, I highly recommend you go back and watch some of those. Dunder Knit did a Vlogmas, very, very good Vlogmas. Recommend that one. Amy Florence from the Stranded podcast did a great Vlogmas. Loved watching that one. And Crafty Chat was a good one with Hannah. And she's got the Corner of Craft podcast. She's great. My daughter and I watch her. My daughter says that she really prefers the ones where they go out and do things and not the Crafty Chats. She's like, Mommy, you're watching Crafty Chat again. Can we watch the Vlogmas? I'm like, Vlogmas is over, sweetheart. She's like, but I like when they go out and do things. I'm like, I know, they'll do one next year. So to Hannah I say, my daughter is a fan of yours, but only of your Vlogmas. Sorry. Then again, at least she's a fan of your Vlogmas because, you know, my daughter won't even watch my YouTube videos. She gave me a thumbs down the first one I did. I was like, wow, that really hurt me to my core, kiddo. It's a good thing you're not my key demographic. Alright, so to the rest of my whips, I did not work on anything I said I was going to work on my vacation knitting. I did not, except for my third and final Mocks and Cables hat. And you can see I got very, very far on it. And yes, I stopped in the middle of a row, but when you're knitting in the round, it's kind of easier to do. So this is which is all twisted up. There we go. Mocks and Cables by Laura Heisler. Third incarnation of it. This is in the Cascade. I can't pronounce. Lana de Oro, I think is what it was. I'll post it on the scrolly bar. You know how I am. This is Deep Stash. I was just knitting it for my husband as part of my anniversary trip knitting. I didn't get very far on it, obviously. Just like 2 rows, because I worked on my socks instead. So, then I have my Barnyard Knit sweater. I got a bit more done on this. I put it's inside out from when I tried it on. Excuse me. There we go. I put the bottom stitches. I haven't cast off on the bottom because I wanted to try it on to make sure that it had the right length. So it is currently on some oh boy, I did something weird with my and I'm all tangled. Oh, so much professionalism. I know, I'm sorry. This is a great podcast. You just tune me out, right? I don't know why you're still here watching, because I'm a hot mess. Okay, there we go. I was caught up on something when I turned inside out. Okay, so I put these stitches, the bottom stitches, on this cable from Coco Knits, which I picked up on my shopping trip at the Knot House. So they're these leather cables, and they come 3 in a pack, and they're not, jury's still out on them. So they're supposed to, this needle is actually threaded on this end, and you can take this off, on and off the leather cord, but the way that it fits is very weird, so you just kind of jam it into the end of this thing and twist. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that, because I found it hard to get it on to begin with, and then it doesn't feel super secure, in my opinion. The leather cording is very raw in its state, and I think if it were oiled or waxed or whatever you do to soften up leather, that would be a good idea, because if you can, I'll kind of demonstrate, it does not glide on the stitches really well. They kind of, and now it's not going to do it when I was doing it. Okay, so now that you've got them, now that I've got them all bunched together, you'll see. They just, I'm trying to pull. So it's one directional. Now I pull this way, it's fine. But if I try to pull them back, like if I wanted to go this way on the cord, they get caught up in the grain of the leather. So it's very one-directional. And even then, it's still, I don't know if you can hear it, still kind of catches. So the jury's still out, maybe with use. The oil in my hands and, you know, whatever will kind of soften that up to make it a little easier. But it was nice because it's nice and super long. So I was able to try that on because I couldn't find my try-on tubing. I bought some. I have no idea where it is. So anyway, so I've gotten to the bottom of that, and it is actually the perfect length, so I'll probably put those on this back on the needle and cast them off this weekend, or this week sometime. I did the same thing with the sleeve up here. So all I have left are the sleeves. Yay. And this is the Monarch Meadow. Sorry, my needles keep banging on the desk that I'm using. So this is the Barnyard Knits. This is the Monarch Meadow. This is the Willow. This is Moss. And this is Woodland. Those three colorways. Very pretty, all faded, sorted together. And this is the Flax Light by Tin Can Knits. I did not follow any of the fade patterns that are currently out there. I just kind of did whatever I wanted to do with this pattern. It's a pretty easy pattern. I like following it. But I am excited. Oh, here's the little box that the Coco Knits Stitch Holder Kit comes in. So it's an interior threaded nickel made of steel, nickel-plated steel, 3 lengths of leather cord, 1 for holding stitches of the sweater and the body, and 2 for holding stitches of the sleeves. So it's basically specifically for a sweater that you're knitting. It comes with your little booklet to read the instructions. And then there's my extra cord because not all of my stitches are on there. So it's interesting. We'll see how it works out. So we'll see. I'm gonna see if there's any special instructions. There weren't. But I do love Coco Knits. I love their stitch markers. I love their accessories in general. So, and then, okay. Sorry. Oh, let's see. We've got my last whip. Well, not my last whip, but my last whip I'm going to show you. Sort of. This is Joe's sweater. Yay, Joe's sweater. I did finish the bottom. So I cast off for that. It needs some serious love and blocking. And I did start my sleeve. It's on the stitches. But this is how I handed it to him for Christmas. To be fair, I did give him other Christmas presents. I didn't just give him this. So this is the Katia Concept in the Cotton Merino. And it's, come on, focus. No, not focusing. I am looking at getting a better camera. This is color 105, and it's a caramelly colorway. And the coordinating color is 104. We not put that upside down, right? Yeah, there we go. So, not super far along on the sleeve. I've just picked it up and started knitting the sleeve colors, and I think I've got a few more rows. I'm about halfway done, or 2/3 of the way done on the sleeve to match the body stripe, and then I'll be on to the brown colorway and be done with that. So yeah, fun. My last project I can't show you, but I am super excited about it. it's also part of my stash acquisition, so I am going to show you at least the yarn. So I have a test knit, my very first test knit ever. I happened to be surfing Instagram and saw a post from Casapinka for her sweater test knit call out, and I emailed her and was like, I really want to test knit this sweater and I can do it in, like 2 weeks. I can. I know, all proof aside, I can actually knit a sweater in 2 weeks if I'm motivated. Excuse me. And she was like, yeah, sure, you can test it for me. And so I was like, yay! So I got the okay to test knit the sweater and immediately hopped in the car Sunday and drove to the yarn store with my daughter in tow. And we're like, no, we're going to the yarn store. So I bought, it's a Colorworks sweater. And these are the 2 colors I'm going to do. So this is Kelbourne. Kelbourne Woolens Scout. And this really pretty silvery gray. This is a DK weight, is 100% wool, 275 yards, 100 grams. This one's like caked up. And then my color work is going to be in Schopel wool. I think this says, I can't be edition. Maybe it's edition. Edition 3? Edition 3. There we go. See, I couldn't read that, but it's on the inside. There we go. This is 50 grams, and again, it is a DK weight, and the colorway is 2299. Warm build. I don't pronounce German names. You can watch Corner of Craft for good German words. But it's this really nice purples and browns and oranges and blues, and it's tweedy, or not tweedy. I've lost all my words. I have no words. What are the words for this type of plied color work? I don't know. It has some really long repeats and colorways, so that's going to be interesting to see how this works up in the color work on this, because the color work is pretty small, but it's fairly all over the sweater. So I have 2 skeins of this, and I have 6 skeins of this, and we shall see. This will be my first test knit. I did start a itty bitty swatch. I've got 2 rows of ribbing in the round. But that's it. So that's it for my whips. I do have some stash acquisitions. Yay! I'm going to tell you all about my stash acquisitions, and then I'm going to turn around and tell you that I decided to do a stash down in my Ravelry group, which, if you've been on the Ravelry group lately, you will know that all my show notes are up. Yay! I'm only 8 episodes in, but I finally got all my show notes up. So, I told you guys before, I'm actually in a closet, and so I am running out of room. All these bins back here, this is a 9 cube. These are all full of yarn. This one's not as full as it looks, but the rest of them are all really, I'm pulling one that you can't see. These are all full of yarn, and there's bins down. They're all 9 of them are full of yarn. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 shelves over here that you can't see that are all full of yarn. And that's not including all of my scraps that are tucked under my bed. And 2 bins of scraps that are over here. There are 2 bins like this that are on the side of this that are full of yarn. So, typically, my biggest purchases of the year are Maryland Sheep and Wool. So, I thought, what better way to start the new year than with a stash down? Yay! So it's called Make Room for Maryland Sheep and Wool, and you can participate one or two ways. You can participate on Instagram with the hashtag Make Room for MDSH. That's Maryland Sheep and Wool. Or you can go on to the Ravelry group and you can look at that post, and you can post what your personal goals are going to be, and post your project. Finished projects count, WIPs count. So if you're currently working on something and you finish it, that counts towards your total yardage. And you can do your yardage one of two ways. You can weigh it, or you can go by what the pattern says, whatever's easiest for you. This is a really loosey-goosey stash down, because basically the end goal is to just knit enough that you're getting yarn out of your house to make room for more yarn, you know? Take a look through your stash, dive through, do some deep stash diving, and get rid of that yarn that you really loved 3 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or however long ago, but you really don't like it as much now. Give it a little love, make it into some charity knitting, gift knitting, whatever, you know, get it out of your house so that you can make room for something that you really truly love now. Your stash should, you know, always be changing and ever growing and whatever. So there will be prizes. I have not figured them out yet. So if you are a maker of yarn, knitting accessories, patterns, whatever, and you would love to contribute and get your name out there and would like to collab on some prizes, let me know. Reach out to me on either Instagram or Ravelry. I'd be happy to have you participate, but I'll be picking prizes regardless from either my personal stash or some shopping that I do so well. But there will be prizes, and the prizes will not be based on who knits the most. It's going to be random number draws, both on the Ravelry group and on the Instagram group, so you can win one or two ways. So, without further ado, some of my stash acquisitions. First, we went to the Knot House in Frederick for, we went down there just to kind of hang out. It's a really cute little town to walk around in. Downtown Frederick is, you know, kind of a little historical area. It's being gentrified, so there are a lot of little, what my husband calls dirty hipster shops, which, you know, he makes fun of, but most of the stores we went into were dirty hipster shops, like bookstores, because hipsters are bringing bookstores back, and record stores, and I'm not complaining because I love both of those things. But he's such a curmudgeon, and he's only 39, same age as me, so I don't know why he's such a curmudgeon, but he is. So we went to the Knot House and we walked around there for a while, and I got two skeins. One is the Farmer's Daughter Fibers. This is their Juicy DK base. It's really pretty natural color with these mauve speckles, and then like this really pretty ochre color thrown in. So I'm gonna knit a hat with this. I'm not sure which hat yet. I had a Kennicott by Caitlin Hunter planned with some Malabrigo, but I may choose this. This is the color Half Breed. And it kind of does remind me of Cher, you know? I don't know. But it's very pretty, very squishy. Very squishy. And again, that's the Juicy DK. It is a superwash merino wool, and it is 274 yards per 100 grams. And my second purchase was a skein of yarn to match. I have this skein here, this big old cone of yarn here is Holst Garn, and I told my husband I'd make him a sweater because he saw a sweater in the shop that he liked and he wanted it, but then he picked up this yarn to match. Magpie. He's got good taste. This is their Swanky Sock in the 80% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon blend. It's 378 yards per 115 grams, and the color is London Rain. This is actually his second choice of color. His first choice of color, funny enough, was the Rhinestone Cowboy that I had bought him in back at Frederick Fiber Festival for socks. However, I didn't think that that particular shade of blue was going to match this particular shade of blue. I'll take this out. Because it's kind of, it's called Mariner. It's like a navy, but it's an odd shade of navy. It's like a bluish green navy. So we got this to stripe with it. So we'll see how that works. I may end up getting him a different skein, a bit different hank of the Holstgarn. If you're not familiar with Holstgarn is based out of Denmark. This is their super soft fingering, and it is a very rustic woolly yarn. But this 500 grams, I think is what the cone is. Yes, 500 gram cone is only $28. I paid less than $40 for this one. I was less than $50 for, yeah, it was less than $50 with shipping. I split shipping with somebody else who was ordering from Holstgarn because it is from Denmark. I know my geography. So I got 2 of these for a little less than $50, which is amazing. So this is definitely a type of yarn that you want to wash when you're done with it, though, because it'll bloom really, really nicely. As is, you would not want to wear that against your skin. But anyway, he saw a Isabel Kramer sweater pattern in the shop and wanted me to knit him that sweater. So I got that and this for him. And then the next day we went to Creative View in Pennsylvania, a little store just outside of Gettysburg, East Berlin area. And it was a very nice shop. We met the owner. She's got a beautiful little doggy that she has to run around in the shop. Very friendly. And it's a great big shop full of yarn. So I spent probably a half hour or so wandering around, just looking while my husband went and found coffee. And I picked up some silky wool. And this is from Elsbeth Levold. I hope I pronounced that right. Silky Wool Designer's Choice. It is made in Italy for KFI, Roosevelt, New York. And it is, I'm sorry, the price tag is covering up the color, $57. It is a 45%, 45% wool, 35% silk, 20% nylon blend. It's 175 meters for 50 grams. It's this lovely dark purple color. And I bought a sweater's quantity of these. This is a DK weight, and I think I'm going to make the Shishiko in it. Although, I mean, looking back, I probably could have used this for the Casapinka and gotten a different matching color, but I didn't. Why would I use Stash? That makes no sense. But I got this with the intent to knit the Shishiko by Bristol Ivy. And then I bought some souvenir yarn, so sock yarn. This is the Ancient Arts yarns in their Spooky Skeletons colorway. And it's purples and blacks and oranges and whites, some blues. This is their Sock NATO base. It's an 80-20. So 80% superwash fine merino, 20% nylon, fingering sock, 385 yards per 100 grams. And it is hand-dyed in Canada, made in Italy. Ancient Arts. Ancient Arts yarns. So those are my, I did good. I mean, I did buy like 11 skeins of this. So, not too bad, right? Not too bad? No? Yeah, maybe? I don't know. So that's my knitting progress. Oh, and my big surprise that fell into my lap, literally. So I may have mentioned before that I knit every Wednesday, or try to knit every Wednesday at my local yarn store, Knits and Pieces in Annapolis. And it is a jam-packed evening, usually. Almost no space to stand in the shop by the time all the women pile in throughout the evening, and we all crack open a bottle of wine, and not each of us our own bottle of wine, but we share bottles of wine. We call it Wine Wednesday. And we knit away, and we usually close the shop down, and we're usually there from anywhere around 3 or 4 in the afternoon till 8 or 9 at night. So, having said that, one of the women in the group was incredibly generous. She had a Ashford rigid heddle loom that she had been trying to unload for a while, and she had asked one of our other ladies in the room if she'd wanted it. She already had one, so she didn't need it. And that was, and she'd asked Beth. You guys know Beth. She'd asked Beth if she'd wanted it. Well, Beth already has a loom. However, Beth said, well, you know, Melissa has been interested in getting a loom. And so our friend turned to me and said, I have an Ashford rigid heddle loom. Do you want it? I hear you want a loom. And I was like, yes, I want a loom. How much are you looking to get for it? And she's like, no, I want to give it to you. And my response was to offer her some of the beef jerky that I was eating, because who does that, right? And so I was like, have some beef jerky, please. And she's like, no, I've been wanting to get rid of it, and you know, I've got all the stuff that you need for it. Just, you know, do you want it? And I said, absolutely, yes, please. And so she texted her husband and had him pack it up in the car, and that was on a Wednesday night. And the next week, Joe and I went on our anniversary trip, and we had literally just pulled up to our bed and breakfast, and Beth texted me, hey, Melissa, your loom's in my car. And I was like, holy crap, no way. She's like, yeah. I'm like, that's amazing. So we got home Saturday morning around 10 o'clock, and I said to Joe, I said, I'm going to go to the store. He's like, seriously? I'm like, seriously, Beth's there. She's got my loom. I'm going to go get my loom. And I'll post a picture of it. I have not yet had a chance to set it up. I forgot where I was. I was interrupted. I'm sorry. So I went to the shop to pick up my loom, and I'll post a picture here. I haven't had a chance to, with the holidays and everything, go through it and set it up, do more than just set it up. So I haven't warped it. I haven't played around with it at all, but she gave me the loom itself. She gave me a stand. She gave me 4 of the heddles. I think that's what they're called. See, I'm just still learning. And then, you know, several of the little mini tools that go with it, and a bag, and a floor stand. Did I say a floor stand? Basically, this massively generous gift fell into my lap, and I am so excited, and I cannot wait to start working on it. So once the holidays are over, this is the new year, obviously, and things have calmed down a little. I hope to be able to sit down and play with it. I've been watching a ton of videos online, and I think I may take a Craftsy class to sit down and really get the feel for it. So, and I may end up weaving with this, because maybe, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll decide to knit something other than the sweater with it. I don't know. So I have some New Year's resolutions for knitting. One is to learn how to do my weaving. 2 is to stash down, hence the stash down for Maryland sheep and wool cowl knit along thing we're going to do. I will be starting a sweater knit along as well, probably in March. I know that seems like an odd time to start a sweater, so maybe we'll wait for fall to start a sweater along, because I think what I'm going to do is the stash down for Maryland sheep and wool, and then I'll do like a early spring, midsummer cowl, and then I'm going to do another stash down to make room for Rhinebeck, because we're going to Rhinebeck, y'all. I can't wait for that. So those are going to be some of my New Year's resolutions, because I do want to make this closet a little bit more cozier. It's very cozy in the sense that it's very full right now, but what I want to do is to take out some of the shelving that is in here and put in right now I have a corner desk in here, so I want to put a desk that goes up against the wall instead of in the corner, because it takes up too much room in the corner, which is kind of the exact opposite of what a corner desk should do. So I want to put, like, you know, a thinner desk. I do have to have a desk in here just for my sewing machines and whatnot. But then I want to try to make room for a chair and, like, you know, put a little throw rug and, like, make it an actual crafting haven. So, and a lot of that will involve stashing down, either by knitting it or destashing, or sewing up the multitude of fabric that I have above my head. Destashing some of my knitting items. If you follow me on Instagram, it's Melissa K Plans on Instagram. I actually posted a couple of items. I have them up here, that's why I keep looking that way, sorry. For a destash that are hand knit. So there's a cowl, there's a beautiful lace shawl. There's 2 sweaters for one size 6 sweater and one size like 7/8 sweater for kids. So if you're interested in purchasing some hand knits or gifting some hand knits without actually hand knitting them, there you go. There's an opportunity. I want to, like, stash down on some of my craft projects, get my patterns organized. I have these. I also have sewing patterns down here that I'm hitting. That's the crinkling noises. Also, I want to do a lot more frequent podcasting, so I'm working on that. And hey, 2 weeks, that's not too bad, right? Yeah. I want to get back to the quiet knitting. I'm actually going to film a quiet knitting episode after I get off doing this one, so that'll be up next week. I'm trying to get this one out today on New Year's Day. And Vlogmas and possibly Vlogtober. I'm not 100% sure yet. I don't think my daily life is interesting enough to do a Vlogtober. But I was definitely thinking of doing Vlogmas, because we do plenty of Christmas activities. And we live within a stone's throw of Annapolis, Baltimore, and DC. So we could do a couple of day trips to those areas for Christmas. So Vlogmas is definitely on my list to do this year. I'm definitely going to do a Rhinebeck recap episode, since we'll be there this year. We'll do a Maryland Sheep and Wool episode. That'll be kind of longer than my typical Fiber Festival videos, and it will probably be more like a vlog instead of actual pictures, so that you guys get a better feel of what the Maryland Sheep and Wool is like, because it's a pretty big festival to go to, and it is 2 days. So yeah, I have a bunch of personal New Year's resolution goals, but those are personal. They're in my head, and I don't really share those with anybody. So, well, I thank you for joining me. I'm all finished with all my knitting content. Today's quiet. It's New Year's Day. Recuperating from my cold. My daughter's recuperating from a cold. We had guests last night. I was up till 1:30. I'm too old for that. Really too old for that. The great thing about having guests, the guests that we had, is they're really good friends, and they literally live across the street. And we've known them I've known them for 15 years now. I've known the husband of the couple that live across the street, and they just got married a year or two ago. A year and a half ago. Split the difference, whatever. But we've known them quite a while, and so they come over and we keep it low key. They played, my husband and the couple and one other friend that we have played a game called The Thing, and it's a board game based on the movie The Thing, and it's like a cooperative game. And I didn't pay attention to the rules, I'm going to be honest. I had 3 cups of wine and was happy knitting on my socks and not really just laughing at them and the absolute ridiculousness of the game. It was hysterical. But the nice thing about having neighbors for New Year's, over for New Year's, is when you start cleaning up at 12:15, they go home. Because they come over to our house because they don't want to go out and do huge partying and, you know, all that stuff that goes with all of the craziness of New Year's Eve. So yeah, it was nice. But they were still here at like 1:30. I didn't start cleaning up until like 1:15. So, but it was nice. It's a nice time. Nora stayed up until 11 o'clock when she finally passed out. We were going to let her stay up for the ball drop, but she couldn't handle it. So she did, however, was very generous and let us sleep until like 9 o'clock this morning. So that's very nice. Because, again, I can't handle all that. 3 glasses of wine and going to bed at 1:30. Whew, that's dangerous living at my age. Alright, so I've been rambling on way too long. I'm going to let you guys go. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and a subscribe. Haha, I can talk. Thumbs up helps me get the video out there and gets me recommended to other YouTube viewers get recommended my video when you give it a thumbs up. So it doesn't cost you anything to give me a thumbs up. It just helps me get my video out there, and I would appreciate it. Give a subscribe. We're at 40 subscribers. Holy cow, can you believe it? So we're 40% of the way to our 100 subscriber giveaway, which is the Stitches Together Unicorn Boogers colorway skein of yarn, which I posted about on my Instagram, and on episode 2, which is where you can go and check out the details on how to enter to win that skein. And also, like I said, we have the Make Room for Maryland Sheep and Wool stash down in Ravelry and on Instagram. The hashtag for the Instagram is hashtag Make Room for MDSH, and that's for FOR. MDSH is Maryland Sheep and Wool, and it will be random number generator for prizes at the end of the event. The event runs from January 1st, today, to April 30th, 31st? The last day of April, because Maryland Sheep and Wool is the first weekend in May. So, thank you for watching, and me rambling on once again. Bye, and happy knitting.